Frank's Laboratory.
Hello and welcome to Frank's Laboratory. Today we're going to delve into the often overlooked but definitely worth revisiting world of cyber empires, or as it was known in Europe, steel empires. Cyber Empires is a classic real-time strategy game released by Silicon Knights and published by Strategic Simulations in March 1992, which later became part of Ubisoft. The game has two basic components. The first requires the player to engage in risk-like strategy decision-making with the goal of conquering the given landmass. The player raises cyborg armies that accomplish this goal. I won't be able to bring you the original experience like it was in 1992, but I was able to find Cyber Empires on the Internet Archive. The game was originally produced in MS-DOS, Atari ST, and Amiga versions. When the game launches, you're greeted with the intro credits and the cyborgs or mechs that are featured in the game. You're also greeted with an introduction to the world that Cyber Empires takes place in. 2200 AD. 5 empires descend upon the neutral and strategic planet of Orion in an attempt to claim it as their own. The days of conventional warfare are over. The age of the cybernetic warrior is at hand. Cyber Empires has 9 different mechs that you can pilot and build. It's broken down into categories of 3, starting with the lights: Mercury Mark 11, which is a light mech with 3 lasers; Cyclops Mark 10 with 1 light autocannon and 2 light lasers. Another light is the Dragon with 1 Hellfire, 2 light lasers, so a flamer. Then you have heavies and mediums, the Mars Type 4 with 1 light neutrino cannon and 2 light autocannons. The Crossbolt with 2 long-range missiles and 2 light lasers, similar to a catapult. Achilles HL with 2 short-range missiles and 4 heavy lasers. Hercules Mark 1 is going to be your first assault with 2 neutrino cannons, 2 heavy lasers, and 2 short-range missiles. The Behemoth with an assortment of all kinds of different weapons, to include heavy lasers. And the biggest mech that you can build is the Titan Mark 4, which has 2 neutrino cannons, 2 long-range missiles, and 2 heavy autocannon. Cyber Empires had a source book included, which is pretty important for games back then because they didn't really spend a lot of time on making tutorials or whatever, but I was able to pull the PDF version and it helped me a lot with figuring everything out. The main menu for Cyber Empires has 3 options: Complete Campaign, Strategy Campaign, and Battle Practice. Complete Campaign is the game's main mode, where you're able to fight for the planet Orion as one of the 5 generals. You're able to select whether the generals are human, computer, or non-active. You're also able to select the map display if you want Fog of War on or not. Also, the planet type, resources, you can set from poor to rich. The general AI is on a 1 to 6 scale, 6 being wimpy, 1 being nasty, and you're able to enter the name of your general before the game starts. The main game screen looks like this. You have several options that are positioned in the bottom of the screen. You're able to move mechs, repair mechs, do a satellite scan, build mechs, open and close the door, which is how you view the map and also pass your turn, build a capital, build a factory, enhance a factory, or build a fortification, and then also save and look at the different resources that you're able to get within your the locations that you control. Once you get used to the UI, you can start building your first factory. It's the button next to the flag on the left side of the icons. You'll be able to build 3 different types of factory. You got a unipost, dual post, and quadropost factory, all with different prices. Each one of these factories can build a certain amount of mechs per turn. If you have the option to build the quadropost factory, if you have enough money in your vault, I definitely recommend that you start with that. When you have a factory built, you can start building mechs. You'll be greeted with the Select Cyborg screen, where you can build one of the 9 mechs, or up to 4 mechs, depending on the type of factory that you built. You do this by clicking on the mech icon, and it will start to build the mech in the factory. A lot of the mechs can take several turns, so you'll have to enhance your factory if you want to speed that up. Once you're done with your turn, you click the end of turn icon, which is the doors. It'll go through and the AI will take their turns, the other generals. It'll come back to you, and if there's no fights that happen, you can reopen the doors and begin your next turn. Sometimes you gotta click twice. But you can see that we have a mech built. Moving your cyborgs can be pretty simple, but you have to make sure that you click on the center of the territory and you click on the territory that your cyborg is in prior to initiating the move order. But you'll know you've done it right once the screen pops up like this, where you've clicked on both centers and you're able to select the cyborg and move it from one territory to another. You can use the satellite button to scan a territory to see what the net worth is, or if you spend enough, you can also see if there's enemy fortifications or cyborgs in the territory if you have Fog of War on, since you won't be able to tell right away without doing a scan. When you begin a turn with a mech in an empty territory, you can put your capital flag into the territory. This will allow you to collect the net worth from that location every turn, allowing you to get more money into your vault so that you can build bigger mechs or fortifications for your different territories. If you're playing with Fog of War on like I was in this game, you can use the satellite to scan enemy territories to divulge important information. The more you spend, the more information you'll get. Eventually, at the end of a turn, you'll be greeted with a new screen if you either moved your cyborgs into an enemy territory or they moved their cyborgs into yours. Here you'll be prompted with the new screen. It says press enter. Depending on which action occurred, you'll be greeted with a defense or an attack screen. This screen is a defense screen. Here you can place your cyborgs into different locations around the map. You can see where the arrows are. That's where the enemy's going to be coming from. It also tells you the terrain, the country that's being attacked, and it tells you which general is attacking you. You can also select which mech you're going to pilot. It'll turn red, and then there's also an option to simulate the battle if you don't want to do any of the battles. This is the battle screen. This is where you or another player or even a human player, if you decide to share the keyboard, will battle it out to either defend or attack the territory that you're in. The screen has heat, armor, the different weapon types that you have equipped for your mech. And in addition to that, it also has 3 different radars. You have a long-range radar, which is shared between players, and then you have your own radar on your side of the screen, which will show enemy weapons that are being fired. It'll also show proximity of enemies once they're within a certain range. In this battle, I was unable to fire any of my weapons, mainly because the keyboard controls are a little bit dated. 1992, right? I'm going to go ahead and show you those now. Controls for Cyber Empires can be a little bit tricky to get used to because they're, dated from 1992, but basically the right side of the keyboard is going to be using the numeric keypad. You're going to be using the plus key to fire, 0 to switch weapons, and then 1 through 9 is going to be the different directions that you're going to be able to use. I was able to use arrow keys, and sometimes I would have to use the numbers to select a specific direction. If you're playing with 2 people, or if it forces you to attack defender sides, you'll be using the left side of the keyboard, which has a similar setup to the numeric keypad, where Q and C would be the top left corner and the bottom right corner respectively, and then spacebar and tab will be your weapon swaps and firing weapons. So after a while, just like any game, you'll start to get used to it and you'll start to develop a rhythm. Once I was able to get the keyboard controls figured out and everything like that, I decided to just start a new game where I could see the enemy opponent, and I lowered their difficulty and just decided to do a 1v1. And I still found it to be quite difficult. But you can see that everything's starting to move a lot quicker. I'm moving lots of cyborgs into different territories. I'm able to take my turn more efficiently. And at this point, there were still some things that I needed to learn. And it turned out that when you were attacking a enemy fortification, you would just get trounced because they had so many different weapons available to them, long-range missiles, stationary autocannons, and depending on the level of that fortification, it could be almost impossible to destroy. This is the attack screen here. So this is where you're able to set the target priority. You can do conquer territory, capital attack, structure attack or guerrilla attack, and it's just kind of like orders for your AI counterparts depending on how many you have with you during that attack. And you can set the target priority by dragging the slider to the right or the left, so they're able to like they have to follow your orders or they deviate from them for whatever reason. But essentially, what had ended up happening is I would attack a fortified location, and all of my other cyborgs would sometimes just stand still, and I came to find out that you had to use the keyboard controls F9 to basically instruct the other cyborgs to move. You don't have to destroy every fortified structure. You don't have to destroy all the missile turrets. You don't have to destroy all the auto cannons. You just have to kill the cyborgs on the enemy team, but they just stand still and let you come to them, which would make sense. After many turns, you'll have an expansive empire on the planet Orion. You'll start having to attack or defend different territories. In this scenario, I had 2 dragons and 2 Mars. Dragon's equipped with a flamer, and the Mars is equipped with a heavy laser cannon. The enemy was a crossbolt, which is a long-range missile mech that is able to just launch LRMs over and over again. I wasn't able to get to the crossbolt, but my allies were able to get to it first. The size of the battles can get pretty big, especially when you're attacking a heavily fortified location, trying to take out an enemy factory, or trying to kill a lot of the enemy cyborgs if you find them transitioning from country to country. I was able to remember to press that F9 button, and the rest of the cyborgs on my team would start moving towards the enemy fortifications, as opposed to multiple attempts earlier where they would just stand idly by and launch LRMs if they had them. But I mean, even after the ammo was gone, they would just stand still. Another important thing of note is the heat of the cyborg itself. If you fire a lot, you'll end up heating up the cyborg and it won't be able to move anymore. Also, if you take damage from some of the Hellfire missiles that the fortifications launch, it can actually increase your heat, which will slow your mech down and cause it to take damage if it goes over the red. You can see on the right side of the screen how the crossbolts are just kind of standing around trying to wait for the turrets, if there are any left, to kill us. But me and the rest of these cyborgs are like, nah, bro, you're gonna die. An attack on a enemy territory will continue until you run out of cyborgs or your enemy runs out of cyborgs. Once my forces finally prevailed in destroying the enemy's factory location, I was able to slap my capital flag down where they used to be. And instead of continuing with the game, I took this as a W and just went ahead and stop my campaign there and save my game. But if you wanted to completely destroy your enemy, that's basically how you would win the game, and you would destroy every location. I played Cyber Empires on Internet Archive. I'll have a link in the description below. They have an extensive list of MS-DOS games, PlayStation games, and other old games that you're able to enjoy even to this day. It's all ran through different emulators that are built into the website, so have fun. I was able to, after I completed my campaign, I went ahead and tried out Battle Practice. Saves are shared, so try and beat my high score. The Battle Practice screen has 2 different modes. You have Survivor and you have Showdown. Showdown's where you can fight against another player, and Survivor's where you try to take on waves of different cyborgs over and over until you finally prevail or become defeated. Best of luck to all of you. Here's my behemoth montage. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, like and subscribe and let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.
Frank's Laboratory.